Hello and welcome to the Gaggle What We Challenge, and if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is co-founder of the Gaggle, Peter Lavelle. So, Peter, obviously, the big news overnight has been the apparently, it now seems to have been confirmed, the death of Yevegeny Prigozhin, head of the Wagner group, and the man who led a putative mutiny exactly 2 months ago, June the 24th. The exact cause of the air crash that led to his death, we simply don't know yet. There was initial speculation that he had been shot out of the sky by air defense systems. Now the speculation seems to be that there was a bomb aboard the aircraft. But alongside Prigozhin were other leading figures of the Wagner group. So it was kind of odd for them to be traveling together, given the circumstances. So at this stage, we obviously don't know who was culpable. I doubt very much that it was just simply an accident, happenstance. But obviously, one would have to think, my own view is that I don't think the Ukrainians were behind this. I don't think the CIA was behind this, because I don't see there's any, what they get from it, what their benefit is. If it was the Russian government behind it, I can see that there's definite benefit. I mean, first of all, he led a mutiny. You can't just walk away from something like that. And then some very awkward figure is out of the picture, and you actually show the people, you show the rest of the world a certain ruthlessness in how you deal with your enemies. Oh, because but you broke your word. You said he'd be safe and so on. It's like, okay, yeah, I broke my word, but that's what you do when you're trying to protect your state. And one can also say Prigozhin himself doesn't seem like he kept his side of the bargain. I mean, the idea was that he would go, the bargain was he would go to Belarus and stay out of Russia, but he seems to have spent most of his time back in Russia. I mean, even the plane itself was flying from Moscow to St. Petersburg. So we don't know yet, but I think foul play seems is a more likely explanation than happenstance. Anyway, what do you think, Peter?
I think foul play, yes. Though pointing a finger at the Russian government yet, I think is very premature. We need a lot more information. I'll just cut to the punchline, George. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
I think that's what it's essentially going to be. And we're going to hear by the end of this podcast that he was seen in a KFC in St. Petersburg. No, he's in Kazan drinking beer. No, I saw him in Chechnya. Okay, this is going to go on forever and ever and ever, no matter what conclusive investigation draws. This is going to go. This will be a story for the ages. Right. Okay, right. And the reason why I'm not going to, I tend to agree with you. I don't think any governments were involved. If they were, then Russian security is grossly compromised, and I don't see that. Because Mr. Prigozhin, see, I think there's the story about him is very warped in the West, because it's a sign of Putin's weakness that this mutiny could happen. I tend to think it goes back to everything, and I think I'm going to surprise and disappoint a lot of people. Everything's about money here. It's not about politics, okay? Prigozhin was the recipient of gross, amazing, overwhelming, hard to comprehend state welfare, okay? And I think that, when money like that is flowing around, people get sticky fingers, they get jealous. Somebody would love to step in and take fill those shoes, but be on the right side of history, not be so cantankerous and opinionated, and just basically mind your own business. George and I have already commented on having a private military force like that in your own country is a very, very bad idea. So it's sending shockwaves. I mean, obviously this is what everybody is talking about right now. And, I don't have enough time to tell you how many theories I've heard in the last 90 minutes. Okay.
Right. But I have to say, I am a little doubtful that it's a gangland killing, that there was some killing about it was about money. This is pretty well organized. That takes some doing. With bombs, they have to get it on the plane. They have to and the fact that the top brass was all there, or the Wagner top brass was all there. Obviously you can't rule it out that this was a gangland killing.
It was a hit. It was a hit. Okay.
But I have to say, again, I'm speculating. Obviously, I think the Russian government was involved. I mean, I have to say that I do think it was involved. I think that Prigozhin had gone somewhere where you don't go in Russia. That's a serious business. You don't just mount a mutiny. It was all Putin is not somebody who's just going to let people walk away. And we were surprised by this. I mean, we were all astonished.
We were disappointed and angered.
Obviously disappointed and shocked. And everybody was shocked that you just simply walk away from this. And so therefore this event would make people think, well, you don't walk away. No one anywhere walks away from mounting an armed mutiny. So that's why I tend to think, again, obviously I'm speculating that this was a Russian government involvement. I mean, how it was done, I don't know. I mean, presumably it's done in the same way as covert operations by all governments are done. Somebody at the top makes clear, I kind of want this dealt with, and it doesn't get into the details.
A nod in the wings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do it, whatever you think is suitable. Don't let us know about it, so that we will, so that we don't actually know anything about the details.
It's hard to push back against you, but at the same time, we don't really have any evidence, and I really don't think we ever will. Okay, and no matter what the conclusions are, there's going to be wild stories from here on out. Okay, I mean, personally, I'm not going to miss the guy. Really, George, not at all. Okay, good riddance. Okay, go meet your maker. Okay, right. I think a more constructive way of looking at this is what's going to happen to the Wagner Group now, because what was really odd, it was only a few days ago. Now, we don't know if it was authentic, but it had Prigozhin sending, one of his epic messages it looked like the desert.
Somewhere was in Africa, yeah.
But we don't know. We can't authenticate that. We don't know if that was, maybe he was there, but was that last year, 2 years ago, 2 months ago, or 3 months ago? I don't know. So, and it was left ambiguous, and when I saw that video, I just thought, this is like a flu that doesn't go away. I mean, I thought you were supposed to, be on your best behavior and disappear yourself for the rest of your mortal life.
Right. Well, that's exactly right. And that's why, again, my suspicion is that it was the Russian government, because then they can turn around and say, yes, we gave you safe passage, even though you didn't deserve it, but we gave it to you. But the minimum would be on your part is you would adhere to that agreement. The agreement is you leave the country and you don't come back. And he didn't even, he didn't do the minimum. I mean, he spends all his time in Russia. I mean, he showed up for the Russia-Africa summit in St. Petersburg. I mean, the Wagner group. I mean, they were heading to St. Petersburg, where their offices are. So it's like they're just they show up for work every day, and so that wasn't really the deal.
Well, what we can definitely agree on is that he royally pissed off someone or a group of people, because let's put it this way, he violated his parole.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go any further than that, because it's really interesting. I mean, I looked at a real quick review of what people are saying, and it was exactly what I expected. Okay. Is the thing that I look at is, and I look at these prominent assassinations and killings, and we always have to ask the question, who benefits? Well, Putin doesn't necessarily benefit from this whatsoever. like Polakhovskaya. I mean, it's obviously she annoyed quite a few people, but does it mean the Russian state itself? I tend to doubt it. I think it was
Right, but
organized.
I think his case is different from hers, because I think in this case the Russian
But what
government.
I'm saying is it's a template where somebody is killed automatically. Who's to
Right,
blame?
no, that's right. But I think when you ask that question, cui bono, which I think is obviously the right question, I think the Russian government does benefit. I mean, I think he is a really
Well, not from a PR point of view,
no,
obviously.
but well, it depends on how you look at the PR. The PR today is that Putin is a ruthless man. You don't want to get on the wrong side of Putin. I don't think this is good PR. This is not bad PR for Russia. Oh, they killed an opponent. Okay, they killed an opponent who's himself a killer. He didn't let a mutiny just simply disappear. He didn't let a mutineer just walk away and live out his life happily. He showed ruthlessness, and I mean, I'm looking at some of the Western coverage. They, obviously, Putin, terrible. However, they just show, Putin is what we had always thought. He's a ruthless killer. I mean, and so I don't think it's bad PR. Nothing succeeds like success. I mean, ultimately, is that you've done it. You've got the job done. You do, of course, the deniability. I don't know. We need an investigation. I don't know. But I do think it's very striking that the Russian government is very low key. They're not accusing anyone. They're not saying the Ukrainian gangsters, the Americans behind this, the British are behind this, the Germans are behind it. Nothing. They're not accusing anyone of anything.
Actually, the only two things that you can fold them together: an investigation is being done, and they're doing DNA testing on the charred bodies. That's right. All they have said, from what I can tell.
Okay. Exactly. But if
to kind of parse what you're saying, is that I have to wonder, without speculating who pulled the proverbial trigger, was that part of the parole deal? I mean, we're going to cut you a unbelievable sweetheart deal, something of the Hunter Biden level, okay? But you violate it, then that's, it kind of goes beyond the normal procedures, let's put it that way.
I think so. And I think that, then Prigozhin and the group, they went to the Kremlin a few days afterwards and had a big meeting.
3 hours.
Exactly, with Putin for 3 hours. And I'm sure it was made clear to them that, okay, you will enjoy safety as long as you basically stay away. I mean, we just don't want you here. I mean, there was something like that. Now, it's interesting. Now, what's Lukashenko going to say? Lukashenko is the one who brokered the agreement. But I suspect Lukashenko will be told that, but he violated the agreement. I mean, that's it. I mean, so look, and Lukashenko would just have to accept it. He said, "Oh, well, you said this or this or this." Well, I mean, but a lot of things change. And anyway, when it comes to the existential issues of the state, you break your word. I mean, that's it. I mean, like people say, oh, what Russia said prior to, February the 24th, 2022, they said that they wouldn't invade. They said it. They broke their word. They promised. Yeah, that's what you do. That's what governments do. Yeah, no one's going to say, we're going to invade in 3 days' time. Yeah.
I remember so well messaging you. It was like yesterday, is that when Russia recognized the independence of Donetsk and Lugansk, then it all changed, because it was now we're going to with what is it, right to protect, which I abhor, doctrine. We're going in, so that, I mean, there's even wiggle room in that one, okay? Because the situation on the ground had changed legally, at least in the eyes of the Kremlin. So I mean, saying that they lied. It's not so straightforward.
Right? No, absolutely. There's always wiggle room. That's why whenever people think about these cast iron guarantees, well, it's an absolute commitment. There's nothing you can do about it.
Ask Poland in 1939.
No one's exactly. These cast iron guarantees, they don't really mean very much. And basically, like when he gets to governments, when it comes to the sovereignty, then like Nixon put it, when the president does it, it's not illegal. When so when we say that, yeah, we're not going to do something, and then we do it, yeah, we didn't lie. We just said, that the situation called for a different approach. That was the approach then. This is the approach now.
Well, it's also, and I think you've already you touched upon it just briefly, and I'd like to point out to our viewers here is that George likes the word mercenary. I use private army, no difference, okay? But let's use George's word, mercenary. We go into a very murky world, and Prigozhin became wonderfully wealthy through this very elusive, murky world, and it was his demise as well. So you play that game, the
you play, but
ultimate experience is always in the cards.
Absolutely. And to be honest, I mean, the moment he started down this path of issuing these videos, attacking he was attacking Shoigu, Gerasimov, you think this is not going to end well for you.
No,
you're waiting, day after day. This isn't going to end well.
Well, remember we were talking with Dima Babic about it, and you and I were just saying this is more than bad. This is chronically, critically, terminally bad.
Because nowhere, in no country, can you just simply attack your commanders. And he was sort of, he wasn't in the direct chain of command, but he was, he was under some command of the
and he was a recipient of a lot of money too.
Recipient of a lot of money, but he was, and ultimately he was carrying out operations in coordination with the Russian defense ministers. He starts attacking them in the middle of a war. In a war that the Russian government is taking very seriously. In the middle of it, you start attacking your commanding officers. No country in the world is going to accept that. And again, as always with Russia, that they're very patient. The Americans wouldn't have tolerated this for 24 hours. He's gone. In the United States. I mean, it's not even like Truman and MacArthur, but it's like, was it? I think Obama fired an Afghanistan general. Exactly. He criticized it. He gave it an interview to a journalist on Rolling Stone. He criticized Obama. Bomb. He was gone the next day. So
as he should have been. Yeah. As he should have been. And Truman was right. As he should have been. Okay.
Right.
I guess this is a rhetorical question, George, but you and I exchanged messages last night about this very briefly, but you weren't surprised. I wasn't surprised.
No. I just wasn't sure how it was going to be done. You kind of wonder how exactly will this transpire. But it was unbelievable, very hard to believe that he would just simply be able to go on with his activities. And he would have gone on criticizing the Russian government. I mean, he would have just done this. I mean, there's just no way that he would have just gone on, tending his garden, or saying, "Oh, I'm going back to becoming a farmer" or something like that. No, that's just not his style. That's not, he's so. I thought this was going to end badly for him. The Western media, the New York Times, I think had some headline like, Russian dissident, Yevgeny Prigozhin dead, dissident. He becomes a dissident. He's one of these Andrei Sakharov types.
No, he's Solzhenitsyn with a Kalashnikov, right?
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's like the other day I saw a story in the Washington Post that referred to Sergei Skripal as a Russian defector. The Russian government, tried to murder Russian defector Sergei Skripal. A defector? I mean, the guy was a spy working for the British government. I mean, they recruited him for money. But he was working for the Russian. He's not a defector. He said, well, I'm just coming over to the other side. No, you actually work.
He was traded.
Exactly,
Okay.
he's a traitor. To put it politely, he's a traitor. He's not a defector. But somehow, oh, that's sounds good. Well, they're trying to kill a defector. Well, God, that's terrible. But yeah, but interesting.
But it's so interesting. I'm glad you brought this up, because this is what I was going through my mind through the evening and in the morning, is that there'll be self-serving narratives served up in the West to bolster their very distorted view of Russian politics. And it happened, as you just pointed out.
Right. I know. I think that's right, and I think that as I say, that I don't think that this is bad PR for Russia. I mean, it's just not very nasty, but it serves as a kind of an object lesson to anyone else who wants to try something. Now we know that Surovikin has also he's been relieved of his command of the Air Force, and he hasn't been seen in public since the night of the mutiny.
2 months he hasn't been seen.
Hasn't been seen in public. So obviously, there were people who were sympathetic to Prigozhin within the Russian armed forces. So again, that it serves as an object lesson to them. This going down this path is not going to end well for you. So
yeah.
Again, I mean, as I say, we're speculating. We don't know anything, but that's just my opinion. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. So we'll see. What happens.
Well, I think again, I don't know. I think an event like this goes into lore, and there's going to be, he's at McDonald's now on Tverskaya. I just saw him, George. You're going to hear that. You're going to, he's not really gone. Okay, whatever. Okay. I'm glad to see the backside of his character.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I mean, it just beggars belief. I mean, this whole thing is so bizarre in totality, and you and I have been following it. And then, like I said, when I saw it, on RT headline, yeah, well, yeah. What did you really expect?
Yes. Yeah, no, that's right. That's kind of where it was always going to end up, and yeah, I mean, I think it is an object lesson, for others. That's don't go down this path, and so. But again, it's interesting. The Russian media really are not playing this up very much. I mean, if you look on the RT website, most of it is about BRICS. Most of the stories.
Yeah, and when it comes to Prigozhin, is what do we know?
Yeah, exactly. What do we know? Yeah, that's it's very much along those lines. TASS, very little, just one story there. So it's but I think you're right in that we will never know. That's probably what the final settlement of this whole thing. We just don't know. I mean, if the Americans can do this nonsense with Nord Stream and say, hey, nobody knows, and then.
Well, I mean, when I looked at some of the videos, like 2 or 3 videos that people on the ground, and I was just, what crossed my mind, George, is that every armchair expert on Russia is going to say, this is what it means. And George and I would never do that. I don't know how planes blow up.
I love that. I love it when people start.
But there'll be plenty of people right now.
That's right. Yeah.
With their non-expert opinion saying exactly what happened. That's what I find really bewildering too. And this is in the alternative media.
Okay? Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I always find it hilarious when it's something like that. All these experts are, wow, well, if it goes out at this angle, then the tail cannot be going at that angle. What the hell do you know about this? Well, no, I mean, it couldn't really have been an internal explosion, because I think the wing would have gone down like this. Completely making. I mean, we could do the same thing. Oh no, not that. It's a different angle. And also the material it's made of. Wouldn't have a thing blown up in that particular fashion.
Yeah, and the color the discolorization of the crash itself is very indicative of something, I guess. Anyway, I just George and this is Thursday. Usually you see me, but George and I had a quick chat about it. We thought it was very much worthwhile doing, and I'm glad we did. It's one of those we'll never know. File it under we'll probably never really know. It's right next to the Nord Stream file. Right?
Exactly. Or the one that we talked about, which you know, the assassination of General Zia of Pakistan, which nobody's ever solved. I mean, a president of many years standing is murdered, you know, and no one knows who did it.
What do we pay all these intelligence agencies for, George? Huh?
You're right. Because when you think about it, yeah, all these things, anything like murdering a president, that's a lot of planning, a lot of logistics is involved, a lot of people have to be involved. So you have to find, it's hard to believe that no one knows that you haven't been able to, you know, there aren't any clues anywhere that will lead you to the culprit.
Yeah, when people do these deeds, there seems to be some kind of code. Code silence. All right, everybody. This is I don't know if there's any more that we can talk about this, except for the different theories that will be floating around in the next 72 hours, and maybe a couple will get currency based on no evidence, right, as usual. Okay. All right, everybody. This is The Gaggle with Peter and George. We're on Local, so please go to thegaggle.locals.com, visit our store, and you're going to have a live stream later today?
A live stream later today. So 3 p.m. Eastern time. Please join me. Come with comments, criticisms, and suggestions. We'll probably talk a little about Prigozhin, and maybe even also about the debates, last night's debates, and of course the conversation with Trump. And we will, of course, Peter, you and I will talk about it in much greater detail tomorrow on our podcast. But on the way out the door to the watering hole, enjoying the last days of summer, think about little Buddy. And Buddy says, yeah, one other thing we'll never know, which is where does all the money go in the tip jar? I mean, that's the kind of mystery that why is it always at this near bottom level?
Well, there should be a Chihuahua Interpol, I think.
Don't you? Chihuahua, exactly. Why is it always 95% empty? In order not to get him too agitated, if you have a few bob in your pocket, whip him out, dunk him in his tip jar. He's very upset. Look, you can see how upset he is. So we're very grateful for all of your help and friendship and support. The more you're able to donate, the more of these videos we can make, the more we can improve the technology, and above all, we're going to stay away from the Chihuahua investigation, which is quite ruthless. So remember, if you like The Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.